For centuries, fortune tellers have scammed and fooled the uneducated, deceiving them into believing that they could see the future. And of course, we know that it's not true. Human beings can't reliably predict the future, yet you can predict what kind of technology will be needed in the future. You can do this by understanding human nature and what human nature will want from the technology of the future. And that's exactly what Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk did and have done. It's what enabled them to create the products and services for the future. Our next speaker has been the CEO of an AI, artificial intelligence company, since way back in 1991. He has seen firsthand how to make better decisions through artificial intelligence. And as a matter of fact, that's exactly what he's done with his AI technology platform and the hedge fund that runs on that platform. As a longtime time technology entrepreneur, our next speaker believes that the two important principles of growing your company and understanding the future are making the invisible visible and the intangible tangible. And that brings us to his 10-minute talk. And it's titled How Thoughts Become Things. And he has made a special request that he'll have the slide deck in the chat and you'll get it. But he wants you to take notes in real time so that you can jot down your questions for the Q&A session. Please help me welcome Howard Getson.
Hello. Well, I want to tell you a story. It's an old story, but change is coming. There's going to be new winners. There's going to be new losers. And actions have consequences, but so does inaction. And you're the hero of the story. And your job is to figure out how to get to next. In order to do that, you have to see the bigger picture to figure out where you want to go, to figure out the plan and path to get there. And that's really what this talk is about. It's a framework to help you imagine how to scale your business and how your industry is likely to scale. Abraham Lincoln said the best way to predict the future is to create it. And that's a really cool quote. This framework that I'm about to share with you is about creating the future you desire. Entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk have done it incredibly well. I just saw that Tesla is approaching $1 trillion valuation. Think about that. By the way, Tesla is so cool. I'm just curious, how many people here either have a Tesla or want to buy a Tesla? If you do, just put it in the chat because I'd love to see that. But do you have a Tesla? Do you want a Tesla? It's such a cool concept. But every concept, every story, every process has a beginning, a middle, and an end. How do you think it started? What do you think came first? What capability actually prompted them to say, ooh, I think there could be more? The concept is Tesla started with a capability. What do you think it was? Was it the clean energy car? Was it the battery? We don't really know, but I came up with this diagnostic to help figure out how some of the greatest companies have done it so that we can do it. It starts with a new capability, and then you start to stack those capabilities to be able to create a prototype. The prototype is the bait that lets people decide whether they're interested, and if enough people show interest, it becomes a product. And then that product, you can think of that as a way to have people you don't know doing something you do. But then the next stage is when it becomes a platform. And that's where people you don't know use it for things you didn't anticipate. And each one of these is a minimum 10 times scale. So it's like 10 times, times 10 times, times 10 times, but even bigger. And the key is to start to think about what capabilities are going to get people greedy for new capabilities. You don't have to think about the technology, you think about the business need. And so if you're Elon Musk, in the beginning, you have to think about constraints like drivable distance, or it has to be cool enough to get over the hassle factor. But later you're thinking about, I have to have charging stations on most of the major highways so that people don't get stuck in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, the bottom line is, this is a really cool way to figure out what capabilities are needed. Think of it as a roadmap. And you don't have to build the whole roadmap, but if you know what the map is, you can figure out what parts of the territory match your unique ability, your energy. Be so good that it requires a new name to describe what you do, right? He did this with ludicrous. What's that? The feature that when you press it, the car goes from 0 to 60 in a ludicrous period of time. But think about how you can name a certain capability to make people want it. Gosh, he did it again with SpaceX, didn't he? SpaceX is such a great example, because if you think about the capability, the prototype, the product, and the platform, he's literally inventing something out of this world. It wasn't just privatized spaceships. Realize one of the constraints there was space travel was government-based. There was no public technology to do this. And so in a sense, nobody spent money because it was too risky. But he decided to risk money, time, energy, resources, and then he had to make the components reusable. And then he had to figure out how to land humans safely. It's one thing to go on a space mission. It's another to privatize space transportation or shoot for Mars. But it's even more when you start to think about commoditizing space travel, including like cargo delivery and internet. Amazon did this with Amazon Cloud and a bunch of their different features. Things that became, or that were backstage, became front stage. Here, they're going to have a massive industry shipping parts to all over the universe to start to build communities and space stations and stuff. And they've already lowered the cost. It's now less than 1/10 of the cost per pound to bring stuff up. Why is that important? Because it sends a signal to the rest of the entrepreneurs saying, I could have a business in space. And so those are new customers. And so this is a great way of imagining what's going to happen and where you're going to fit. But people rarely try to accomplish things that they don't believe are possible. And this is the tool that helps you figure out what is possible and what your part is in it. And you don't have to predict the future, especially not about technology. And you don't even have to invent the best technology, because it's not the best that wins. It's the ones that's the most adopted. So focus on the capabilities that you know people are going to want, and realize that that's the magnet that attracts money, talent, resources, and opportunity. Since the dawn of time, we've been confronted with radical new technologies. And even though technology changes, human nature hasn't. And so this is really about human nature and thinking about what people are going to want. And it's really simple if you understand what happens. And I'm going to show you how to do that with this framework. Stage one is something I call, so what, who cares? Right? Even in a caveman, there's this back portion of the brain that says, if it doesn't help my survival, it's not worth it. So the question here is, does it help me do what I already do just better? Recognize the game you're playing, how you keep score. Most people are trying to save time, money, or win more often, right? So the metrics are probably something like that. As long as a new capability helps you do that, you go, this is cool, I want more. Hence stage two. Stage two is all about new capabilities and what's next. And instead of, does it help me do what I already do? It's, what could I do, or what should I do? And it means you have to start to stop doing some things to make room for the new things you're doing. You're still playing the same game, but at a whole different level with more capabilities and better results. Stage three is game changing, because it's reinvention. It's where those new capabilities, your new identity, causes you to say, I could release a new product, a service, or an offering that's strategic and unique, that takes me out of that competitive red ocean of commodity into something that highly prizes what we do. But it has to be good enough that people you don't know are going to get the results. So you're refining the unique ability or the capability to something that is reproducible, scalable. And it's playing a new game because it's no longer about what you're doing. It's about distribution. So the metrics have to change. And stage 4 is a huge opportunity for scale. It's transformation. And I call it that because it transforms the game and the playing field for other people. They see what you're doing and they're saying, that's so cool. I'll come to you with ideas or money. Can I do it this way or that way? And it's where your core capability is so cool that it's a platform that others want to build upon. And this is what that looks like in an infographic. You're going to have that in your downloads. But this is how it looks in my company. And the reason it's important is it not only explains the past, but the constraints help me figure out what strategies come next. And understanding the scaling future helps me figure out the big rocks or planning principles so I can figure out what to call into existence. So we currently have a fund that's run 100% by autonomous AI, and it's getting really great results. So great that I realized that the next stage is to have, it's simple enough that other people can multiply. And so I need to pour more money into the top for it to grow. And the way to do that is to realize I have to joint venture or collaborate with other people. And then the platform is, oh, wow, the backstage capability, the insight engine, the technology that made it possible is no longer just the thing that lets me monetize it. It's actually the thing that people are going to want. And that's the concept of amplified intelligence, but it totally changed the way I think about my business. And I hope that this is helping you change what you think of as your business, because your imagination is your ultimate competitive advantage. And that's why I created this form for you to think about what you're going to commit to. And you can do anything you commit to. I can't wait to hear it and help.
Well, let's give them another hand. Let's open it up for Q&A. Stay up here. Okay, we got another. Give us a 3G and then talk to Hal.
Awesome. My name is Nathan Bird. I have WordBeam Inc. to help you create content, connect with others, learn and earn. It's a platform that gives entrepreneurs, teachers, creators, business professionals, creative tools, engagement tools, better comprehension and connection tools that gets your message to the world. I need help with pre-adoption, second and third rounds of funding and monetization ideas. So my question to you, because you've blown my mind a little bit here, just about the future, because in the business that I'm in, it's constantly seeing 3-4 years ahead and then meeting the needs of the customers in that point. So what is your personal concepts and ways that you see the future in predicting trends?
So this actually is one of the, it's the first of several frameworks I have for predicting the future. And I originally called this a technology adoption model. Even though I'm talking to you, I'm going to look into the audience because I remember what Joel just told me. Technology adoption isn't about technology, and it's not even about predicting technology. It's about predicting the business needs that people are going to have if they're presented with a certain set of capabilities. It's understanding that you're either growing or dying. And so if it stays the same, the edge is getting smaller and smaller. So you know that things have to get better. So the new capability is important, right? Does it help me do what I already do? Stage one, the new capability is typically about you, the entrepreneur. Okay. It's somebody who is a supporter and optimistic. Okay. But in order to build a product, you actually need people who are skeptical and who are specialists. And so the entrepreneur has to say, this idea is so cool. What if I could do this? And what if I could do that? And when enough of them do it, the market gets a sense that there's enough money that it's worth spending more time. Now, that model doesn't mean you have to spend more money or more time. If you can anticipate that learning platforms are going to be here and there, what you have to think of is, what part of that do I want? And do I want to build the noun, the thing, that verbs, that does, or do I want to be part of the ecosystem where I'm a consultant or where I'm providing, data, or I'm cleaning data, or I'm a service provider? There's I'll teach you to do it. There's we'll do it together, or there's done for you. There's lots of different ways, but this map is not about what you have to build. It's what people are going to want. And so one of the things I keep saying is, I'm either going to build it, buy it, rent it, or partner. And for me, this is a who, not how world, where I'm looking for who's that know how to do that how, but recognize that technology is also a who now, and you can actually build technology to do what people used to do. And this model is fractal. That means that you can do it at a little level, or you can do it at a bigger and bigger level. So if you take Elon Musk and the car, Tesla, the battery is now becoming a whole energy company. And this clean, renewable energy is going to be probably bigger than Tesla was. And the whole thing's going to start again. And for SpaceX, I think their interplanetary delivery service, and they're going to be the interplanetary telephone company, if you will, is going to be bigger than the rocket ship. And so realize that the business gets so big that it can split apart and become other businesses. And the key isn't to worry about the giant problems. Look at those as opportunities. And if you can aspirationally help somebody get to where they want to go in less time, with less effort, or with greater certainty, there is a ton of money. Even if you're only taking one capability that you have, to you, it's only one capability, but to them, it may be the key that unlocks massive money. And so it's figuring out where you want to play in that bigger future, rather than feeling the weight of the bigger future as how am I ever going to do it? It's how are you going to take advantage of it? Don't fight Mother Nature, flow with it.
Perfect.
Dave, we have one more. A special longtime member joined us today. Dave's going to read his 3G card so you can get to know him, and then he's going to ask his question.
I'm David Burke. I'm a Genius member for 6 years. I've got a healthcare plan that helps businesses make healthcare affordable and simple for everyone in their company. That gives them a way to recruit and keep their best people happy. That frees up money that can be redirected to more valuable places in their business. I always want help spreading the word to business owners who are concerned that health insurance has gotten too expensive. And so Howard, I saw you do this at the 100K meeting, and it was excellent. And I saw you do this in your living room, and it was excellent. I saw you do this in your conference room, and it was excellent. And today you added 4 words that made it incredibly useful.
Yeah. What were those 4 words, Dave?
You added capability, prototype, product, and platform. I've never seen that before, never heard that before. Did I just miss it? Or did you add that?
It was added since last week.
So it's truly your fault. I just wanted to clarify that.
But the key is simple is better. Sometimes less is more, and figuring a way to transfer the model so that somebody gets it where they are. It's called pacing and then leading. So that is a great way to understand. I actually gave this presentation, and Babs Smith, Dan's wife, said, I wanted to love it, and there were parts of it that were amazing, but I felt like a fire hose was, and so I tried to figure out, how do I make it simpler? And part of it was naming those stages differently, and the other was where I filled out the stages for SpaceX and Tesla, where there wasn't time to go over all the cool stuff, but frankly, I'd look at it because it's really cool stuff to look at the challenges they did and how big their vision was. And most people would never attempt visions that big if they didn't make it simple enough to figure out they knew that they could do some of it. It's about creating a sense of certainty that something is possible, and then the thing that's possible becomes likely, and then the thing that's likely becomes inevitable. Some things are inevitable, and you just have to figure out what you likely can do that will create opportunity.
I also loved how you concisely put it about predicting the future is not about knowing what is going to happen, which is the more common way of thinking about prediction, but rather it's about understanding what people will need and want, because of the new capabilities they're likely to have, probably going to have. And we can know what capabilities we're going to have in the future by just evaluating what we want right now. Because if we imagine it right now, we're going to have it.
So,
And then we can expand on that. So you've broken down this ability that's really hard to predict into little chunks about what do I want right now? Let's just assume we're going to have that capability sooner or later, probably within 5 years, if not 5 months. And then what is would we do with it once we have that capability? So you did a great job.
So a different way to say that, Dave, great. Thank you for bringing it up, is first bring order to chaos. Like the big rocks, the framework that it's like when he said, what is a red traffic sign? And everybody can say, oh, stop. You chunk high enough where people are on the same page. You want a framework that's so simple that you say, oh, that makes sense, right? Then like my framework that said, capability, prototype, product, platform, that's a high enough level that almost everybody goes, well, that makes sense. So you need to create order from chaos first, and that allows you to then create wisdom from finer distinctions. And instead of trying to predict the specific technology or the exact tactic, as long as you understand directionally where you're going, it's much easier to course correct something in motion. And so this is all about being in motion, because good things happen when you're in motion.
Yeah, what he said. Zach, stand up and clap.